And welcome to another Basic Blasters, where we're gonna give your rot, give your, give your little graveyard a little rot, set it on fire, give you a little burn with some Pyregheists. And we're here today with another recurring special guest, aka our team member, the only person who wants to actually have a conversation with us, Mike Sansom, our more enthusiast seven. I'm here
It's
with Kyle.
me.
I am
Hey,
here tonight as a mere bystander and moderator to ensure Kyle doesn't talk for 50 minutes straight about profiles that nobody cares about. And I'm here to make sure Mike doesn't talk too much just in general. Maybe I might just override everybody and be rude, but that's what's going to happen.
If I
Uh,
if I could just say one thing.
no, no, I'm going to yell at
There,
Peter even though he's not here. Like, we're
get
going to
him.
tell Peter, let Peter speak first. Ready? Got him. Okay. Thanks, Pete.
look, there's Pete.
So, number one, the most important part about this is the Doors reference for "Come On Baby, Light My Pyre." A plus. We could wrap this up. You guys know how to play it now. Awesome paint job. Is this by our very own Mike
Ooh,
Sansom?
ooh, that's
It
my boys.
is.
That's my Fueghosts. Popped them off, made a little extra fire. It's a fun warband to paint, and yeah, real easy to get after too. Nighthaunt's fun.
I really like the
Mhm.
terrain. Actually, I'm not even gonna lie to you. That looks awesome. Is
Man,
that all
oh
you?
here, wait. All right, we're getting derailed immediately. But fun fact, I bought that was the corpse rack mausoleum, and I bought the box of it from a guy in England. He was like, I got 3 more sets of the Gardens of More terrain, so I have 4 sets of that terrain. Have never. That's not my paint job. He did a lovely job on it, but
I mean,
yeah,
it's good. I've
it
got
was
all
cool.
of Gur. You've got all of the big dungeon over here. Now we just need
Yeah.
Rob to buy the next set, and we'll be good to go.
I don't even know what it is. I got a frog head. It's unbuilt. I got Serenite veins unbuilt. I got
Hmm.
Storm Vault put together. That's okay. I was thinking more like with all your unbuilt plastics of like the gray stuff going on, you could make
Hmm.
like one of those Saw 2 traps where they fall in the pit, but instead of the needles, it's just corpse rack mausoleum sprues. I
Yeah,
feel like
slicing
I feel
people's
like we're
Achilles with a couple of leftover sprues.
yeah, dude. It would be some sort of like horror movie for like Warhammer people. All right.
Speaking of horror, Rob,
Oh,
scary things.
what a perfect segue. Seg it up. Go next.
Segue right into the lore of these guys. So, uh, these guys are basically pyromaniac night haunt. They were basically cursed because Nagash is a massive kind of evil person. And I mean, who would have thought a giant bone necromancer would be evil? But if you attempted to protect your kin in the afterlife by performing rituals, so a big example like doing like embalming them, alchemy, or something like that. Um, or you're trying to rob Graves, basically trying to deny Nagash his due. He basically goes like, "Yeah, you're going to burn for eternity." So you're essentially on fire forever, and you decide because I'm on fire forever, everyone else needs to be on fire forever. So yeah, these ghosts are wield this balefire that goes around, burns the body, burns the soul. Uh, so just in general, just a lot of curse guys, really angry and trying to spread the love or hate in this case. So really cool lore behind them, and kind of ties in nicely with the water theme that came in the box for Pyre and Flood. But less here about the lore, and we're more here about how they play. And I think I know, surprisingly, even though I'm the death player, I think Mike's got more reps than I do with this team. So tell me, Mike, what's going on?
Yeah, I messed around with them locally for a while, so I got a couple of games under my belt with these guys. Like all Night Haunt, you have to fly. You don't have a choice. You are going to be zooming across the board. They create tokens with one of their abilities, which we'll get into, that just stay on the board. There's not You can't interact with them in any way, shape, or form other than to run away from them. Spoiler alert: do that if you're playing against them. And they've got relatively high toughness, especially for what we're going to see. I'll kind of go over the numbers here in a second, but it's a lower count warband, so it really helps when people are rolling dice at you to just stick around for a while. That fly does come with points. Unfortunately, they don't just get it for free, so you're paying for it on every single model, which is a big reason why it's a relatively small warband total. They're Night Haunt, and they do not do the number one Night Haunt thing that everybody loves. The number two thing. The first thing that they do is what do they do? They fly around and they do spooky things, and then they resurrect. These guys don't resurrect, unfortunately. So you're really stuck with some low wounds, and you're not able to bring those guys back. So it can get kind of tough. They also really are reliant on a lot of dice to really churn out the damage. It's a lot of teamwork, which is holding hands, nice little ghosts working together to spook everybody out. But you love dice with these guys. For the vibes of these guys, they are very again holding hands, that teamwork, synergy, combo wombo, all that kind of fun. They like to kind of make a little cut and then just blow that cut up. So they get a little poke and kill action. And then the pyres are really fun whenever you can get them off, but you don't need them. That's not their number one thing. It's just just casual bit of fire here and there whenever you feel like it. There's a lot of really tough guys in this squad. There's a couple of tough 5 guys, mostly tough 4 outside of those. Strength kind of varies, and we'll see in the profiles. There's 4s and 5s, which is really nice. Couple of 3s in there, but average wounds. Their average wounds here. That doesn't include like the high end is our average bar there, the green one. That's usually a lot higher, like above 20, significantly above 20. These guys, they're maxing out with a guy at 20, and then their next biggest guys are at 12. So they are very, very delicate. And then the moving, it looks like we didn't chuck the move on. I think everybody in this is moves. No, not everybody. It is.
No, it's a little above 4.
That's true. Nope, I
the
forgot. Yeah, there's
6. Yeah,
they're slow pokes. They're so heavy because they're so tough. They're tough goes. So there's a lot of move 4 and then a couple of
got
move
all those
6s.
candles slowing them down.
Yeah, that's classic. You know when you're trying to carry a bunch of candles and you can't go that fast?
I too can't run far distances when I carry my candelabra.
Man, the Olympics are coming up. I wonder if that's an event this year.
If you walk too fast, the candle goes out, right? So it makes sense.
I mean, it makes a lighter, right? Ironically not, but anyway. The warband size, it's hard to get outside of 8 without allies and stuff like that. The box comes with 8. Usually you're probably right in that realm. It's hard to get many more. It's easier to get less. You can always take expensive things, but yeah, in the box, you're looking at 8 for these guys.
Yeah, I think you definitely nailed it, especially the synergistic style. Like when you start looking through these stats, you're going to realize really quick they got a mix of like melee and shooting. So like not being engaged is a pretty big deal with them, especially with how delicate they are. So yeah, but it's everything you said, +1, 100%. But any other comments, or do you want to look at what those stats are?
For anybody else listening that's kind of watched a couple of the more recent like KMK videos for Basic Blasters and stuff like that, which is Cruel Boys, Month Killas, the Questers, all that, a lot of the newer boxes coming out, the 1 boxes, especially for the bespoke stuff for Warcry, they're really focusing hard on synergy and combos within to kind of promote a more fun play style as opposed to just souping them and mixing them in like compendium teams. So it's just continuing on this trend. So if you guys are interested in more synergistic stuff like that, definitely check out our videos. Please click on our link, and just throwing it real quick in there. If you're liking what you're hearing so far, hit a little bit of like, hit a little bit of subscribe, ring a ding that bell.
That'd be nice. That'd be real nice.
We just want to teach you guys how to play your best, All right. I'm sorry.
It would have been nice if we did it at the beginning, but we just remembered to do it now.
We're not.
This is a special treat for all the people that stuck around. Now you get us shilling ourselves.
Listen, this is like we're past the casting couch here. All right. We're into the nitty gritty. You guys came here. All right. So listen.
You can't. Yeah, this is the paywall. You can't get past this without clicking a button.
All right, I'm going past this because I want to talk about what this team can actually do here, because they actually do have some really cool abilities here.
Yeah,
start off with the first, probably my personal favorite, Fan the Flames. So you just any of them straight up add +1 damage to each hit and each crit from the next melee attack made by the fighter this activation. So just pop a double. If your profile is 2/4, turns into a 3/5. Turns out 3/5 is a lot of freaking damage. And the fact that any of them can do this is absolutely incredible. So to me, just awesome ability, really cranks up that damage. Just really, really sick. On the flip side, though, we have Pyre Robber's Curse. I mean, just adds 1 to the strength of the fighter. This can only be used essentially on 1 model, and we'll get to that model. But that model is, just be clear with everyone on the channel here, it's S3, so this is only going to crank you up to S4. So S4 isn't super impressive, especially when the damage profile is 1/3. But the cool part is if you do get to S4 and you do kill something, you do get that sweet cremation, which before I go any further, should jump into that. they don't have a like a unique reaction like most teams do. Instead, they have a separate rule called balefire cremation. Essentially, if one of these abilities that we're talking about tells you to cremate a fighter, what happens is when that fighter dies, you put a token right where they died, creates a pyre, and then at the end of the battle round, after you figure out who controls what, you just do a flat 3 damage to anyone within 1 inch of this token, which is awesome for like board control, can block people off from going certain ways. If you do it in a group of people that are clustered together and you kill one, you could just hit 3, 6, 9, depending how many people are all joined up in that gigantic spot. So Pyre Harvest Curse, maybe not the best ability, but 3 to
Kyle,
4 is
real
great,
quick.
and making a Pyre token. Yeah.
With the cremation token too, it is important. You only ever get hit by one. So even if you're in range of 2 of those, you only actually calculate the damage for one of
Can't
those.
stack.
Just
Right.
and Kyle, what's the other thing? When does the timing take place with that one?
After objectives are controlled. So it,
Ew. Oh
it's
no.
it's a little rough because there's other teams that do it beforehand. Like there was a bunch of Skaven that can do that,
Yeah.
which it's rough in terms of like, oh, I hope to get the kill so I can control of an objective. Works great on kill missions, but if it's turn 4 and it's a control mission, it's not going to be as useful as you want it
Listen,
to be.
this is a tryout for passives, and I think they were very delicate with it, which was appreciative because nothing would be worse than this is a 3-inch aura. It's going to hit everybody for 3, and then guess what? They stack. All of a sudden, we'd be like, "Please don't play this." But like now,
I would set my board on fire for real. It would be cremated if I'm
I
playing
would
against
just toss everything in a chemical fire in my backyard. But listen, it's a tryout for a passive, which is very unique, and I appreciate the design space it's entering, albeit even if it isn't the most objectively powerful. Treat this as Kyle said before. If it happens, icing on the cake. Not something you want to like aim for actively because I don't think you guys went through it yet for Soulblaze, but we'll get there shortly.
Yeah, because the next one on the list here is Unblinking Guardian. I actually like this one.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Essentially, it's just on a double. I increase my toughness, friendly fighters, their hero or elite. Really great on the leaders. Really great on one of the better models, the Balefire Guard. Uh, Ironically enough, too, it also works on any allies that you bring, which is sweet. And I feel like I'm missing something here, but
You're good.
We're always missing something, Kyle. No. Rob and I were just having some fun. I was doing unblinking. I was trying to show that was an unblinking
got
guardian.
it. Their next triple, like as we talked about, those pyre tokens aren't amazing, but we saw this on a ton of other videos, right?
Yeah.
There's always going to be a time when you're going to use this ability,
Hell yeah.
always, right?
Hell,
And this triple
yeah.
is you kill somebody, you can make a token, a cremate token, and who knows? Like there could be a swarm of spiders on you. You're gonna melee them down, and they're gonna be like, "Yeah, pop that triple. I'm gonna burn the rest of those spiders to bits," and it's
This
gonna
is a
feel
real life
absolutely
scenario.
amazing.
This is
Yeah,
Kyle's
this is actually
experience. He
Yeah.
killed a guy, set him on fire, covered in spiders. It was a crazy day.
I just played Tarantula's Brood this past week. It's in my mind to kill the spiders. So you're probably not going to use Light the Pyre too much, but when it comes up, it's going to be great. But the cream of the crop here is these next two here. Soulblaze, first one. Long story short, leader kills somebody, and then you take half the value of the dice, and that many other models can activate. So trip 6s, that means leader kills something, and then 3 extra models get a free action. No limitation on their distance on the board. So you could be completely opposite sides of the map. Your leader kills something, is like, yeah, 3 bros can go around and start doing stuff. So incredibly powerful ability. Very similar to Calthea.
You get to role play as a Calthea Zanpire.
That was a good one.
It's really
that was a real good one. We're done here, kids. Pack it up.
And we're gonna talk about that one more later because that
I'm gonna be also another chime in on the Soulblaze, Kyle. This is another slight tweak on coordinated strike for all y'all that don't know. For Calthea, pretty much half the value of a triple, right? And you're gonna have each fighter like within 9 make a move or a bonus attack. This is just board wide, but it's faction locked. And I do like that. I think this is a way to gatekeep a strong ability to incentivize playing in-house.
Sure.
I think this is beautifully designed. And I think, honestly, it's just strong. It's just strong. You have a lot of ranged to where you can manipulate the board. my Tong father got a kill, pop some other guys to shoot some more things to get some more chips in. I think it's really cool. It's a really good one.
I mean, just besides that
Mhm.
too, even for objective missions, being able to bounce around is incredibly awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's
But
more flexibility.
I
Those
do want to go
move
to my
6
favorite
guys.
ability outside of that, agonizing presence.
Yeah, this
This
is so
thing is
cool.
wild. So you get a quad, doesn't matter what the quad is. Pick a visible enemy fighter within 6 inches. They move directly to the closest ally fighter in their warband. Doesn't matter if they have to jump, doesn't matter anything. They move directly to them, full force. And after they finish that move action, you do 3 damage points to that fighter and every other fighter within 2 inches of that fighter. And then if they die, you also make cremation tokens. So
So
it's just
wild.
like,
Mhm.
It's
there's
so
so many
wild.
cool uses of this. You could bounce them off objectives, you could pin people. It's absolutely nuts. But
Now
I
keep
can
in
see Mike's
mind,
Every
jumping a
time
bit.
keep in mind it is
every time I do this one. Sorry, go ahead, Rob.
keep in mind it is you move the value of the dice for the quad, so it does count.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So just keep in mind. Continue. Sorry.
I would say every time I do this ability, I imagine Denethor from Return of the King and Lord of the Rings when he just like he's on fire and he jumps off. It's a suicide shot.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It's always think of Denethor.
Peter, was that a good Lord of the Rings joke? Pete said,
The
"Yeah."
one time we have a
It was
Lord of the
pretty
Rings
sick,
reference,
dude.
he's not here.
That's
Pete,
What
man.
is
Sorry,
that?
Pete.
Pete
We
said
love
that
you,
was
buddy.
that was loader approved. So
But any other comments on this, or do you want to go through the
no,
actual stats? Of these
I
fighters?
just again, this is just really creative design, and
Mhm.
we're about to run through the profiles. Mike and Kyle are going to take us there, and but I think it's just creative design that has a lot of unique circumstances that it's very applicable for a lot of things.
Mhm.
Everyone's grouping up, blow them up in the middle. Like you hit 3 dudes, that's 9 damage. Like that's it's a lot. It's still a lot for AoE, and that's still on top of you having to take 2 more actions, right? Like you still get to
Yep.
attack twice or whatever it might be. It just mispositions things. It just can walk them out. Like it's super good, dude. I love stuff like
And
this
it's
that
it's a quad
really,
that you it's a quad that you could use on any model too. So like the positioning really
yeah.
helps from that. Like you've only got 8 models most of the time, so you don't really have to. You don't have to use it on your biggest thing because it doesn't matter. You want to use it on the most efficient place that's going to do the most. Send them in, do the most damage, body block, like you said, Kyle. Put it in the most convenient or inconvenient place for your opponent. So pick whichever model. Use it on the little guys. Who cares? That's fun. Use a quad on your Chaff model. Let's go.
That's
Brand
awesome,
new
right?
play style.
Everything has inherent value, and I think
Mhm,
that's super dope.
for sure.
But let's talk about that. Who gets to do this? So, Mike, you want to take us through all the stats
Oh,
here?
I'm gonna fire off. I'm gonna skip the first one only to talk about the second one, which is extremely similar. That is our boy, the Tong Father, aka Daddy Tong Legs, aka the Long Tong of the Law. This guy, tell you what. Yeah, so both of the leaders are pretty similar. You're looking to move 4, 5 toughness. Look how strong. Oh, a little overhead press here. They are 5 toughness, 20 wounds. So, that 5 toughness is higher than we normally see for most bespoke leaders, which is awesome. Move 4 is bog standard. You're getting that on 90% of your bespoke warbands. 20 wounds, again, bog standard. We're looking at that every time. Flying around, though, zippy little boy. He's zooming. So both of them for the melee attack. Well, they both. Let me start. Both have a ranged attack. It's exactly the same. 8 inches, no minimum. 2 attacks for strength and 2 for on the damage. So again, nice flexibility. You're probably paying some points for it here. Who knows? When you put the fly rune mark on a model, though, you don't know what the points look like anymore. So maybe paying a bit for it, but it's good utility. You might need to just pick something off across the board. I think if you really want to start a pyre up too, I'm pretty sure it's just any
It's
kill, right?
any
It's not
attack.
just a.
Right.
Any
So you
attack,
could just don't mind me. I'm
Same with
just setting your almost dead friend on fire.
just go.
Soulblaze is the same way. If you kill ranged or melee, Soulblaze triggers.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So it doesn't matter as
Yeah.
long as you kill with that
yep,
model, which is
yep.
why it's awesome that it doesn't matter if you're in position for your melee, which, as you pointed out, the 5 strength, 3-4 is pretty bonkers compared to 4 strength, 2-5.
Yeah.
Or if you're not close enough, you just start throwing ranged attacks at them. And most mage range attacks are S3. This one's S4. So you're probably hitting on 4s against most
Mhm.
things at least. Yeah,
Yeah.
so it feels
No,
pretty good.
they're both solid, and it's like the biggest difference between these guys is really just what do you want the job to be for your leader, right? Do you want him to be being able to kind of stand up and hit bigger things, or do you want him to kind of chaff hunt? So if you're looking for a chaff hunter, you're probably going to take that first profile there, where you're going 2-4-4, 2-5. Range 2 on both of these guys is awesome. It's always great, especially when you'll see them on the next slide. But we've got some more ranged attackers in this warband, so if you have those, it's great not to be engaged with them because it means they can also shoot at the same target. But yeah, 4 dice, 2-5 damage, pretty decent. Again, you're usually going to be using that to fight some lower toughness stuff. 3-5, 3-4 damage on the tongs is really going to just start chewing through a lot more stuff. You don't have as much spiky potential with it, but just good solid damage that's coming all the way through there. In a really similar fashion, the Balefire Guard, the two different options there, they almost have the exact same kind of like delineation between them, right? You've got this 1 inch, which is unfortunate. I still can't believe the model. I can't get over the fact that the flail is only a 1 inch range. It looks so like you got this long stick and he's got a anyway.
Sweet 7-pound 8-ounce baby GW.
Right.
Please deliver us appropriate ranges for the weapons they are using.
Yeah.
A
Get him a little
flail is
flail
not
bag,
1 inch.
stretch it out. It's
if my dude needs to hold a weapon with 2 hands, it is not 1 inch. If there's something called a flail, it is not 1 inch. Thank you. Continue.
But they're basically we're making the similar comparisons that we were to the leaders here, in that there's a 4-4-2-4 and there's a 3-5, slightly less damage, but it's either do you want to be fighting weaker or lower toughness things, or do you want to be fighting higher toughness things? Typically, they're both going to be getting in there and kind of scrapping. They only have 12 wounds, which means it gets a little hairy. You're still got that 5 toughness, which helps you survive when you're getting in there to smash on things. But these guys are the guys that have that double to pump up your toughness. So versus chaff and stuff like that every time, they're really going to be able to stick around for a while, as long as your opponent doesn't have evil crit rolling dice that just absolutely demolish you with your 12 wounds. So
I mean, being able to push your leader up to T6 or the Balefire to T6, you're on Stormcast level at that point, but you're not paying the Stormcast points. So that's really where the magic happens. It's just like, I'm going to pop this. I'm going to be super tanky. 5 ups. Good luck. That really can break some teams for sure.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. You don't want to be engaging with things with massive crit spikes with these guys. 1-3, totally fine, right? 1-2, even better. But yeah, if you're fighting a bunch of 1-3 things, it's going to feel a lot better. And actually, I guess I missed it, but the leaders have that Soulblaze ability, which is that one, that incredible triple that gives those extra actions and stuff like that, which is that's why you're bringing them. They're so good. They're great as allies. They're great in the warband. They're just really, really cool.
But speaking of 1-3, the Torch Wraiths. So this is the only move 6 on the team. It comes 3 in a box, fly. So these guys are super agile. They can get around the map. They feel the most like traditional Light Haunt, moving that 6. The real magic happens on the ranged attack, 8-inch, no min, 3-3, 1-3. And they're the ones I was mentioning earlier that have the Pyre's Curse, that increase their attack, either the range profile or the melee profile, up to 4. And then, of course, make that Pyre token. But you can see like why we keep emphasizing that 2-inch range matters so much is when nearly half of your team has a ranged attack, you don't want to be engaged because you want to be able to shoot from any distance. If you're engaged, you have to be within 3 inches of that target to shoot into them if you don't have a minimum range. So sure, you can shoot to melee if you need to, but in most cases you want to keep that option open so I don't have to be positioned in a certain way. But Torch Wraith is just going to fly around the map, steal objectives, poke at people with that 3-3-1-3 profile, and just have a good time. Besides that, though, last 2 models, you get 2 of these in the box. You get the Brazier Staff, the torches. Same thing as we saw the leaders, same thing as we saw the Balefire Guard. You've got a 2-inch profile and a 1-inch profile. 2-inch profile is less attacks, but more damage or crit. In this case, is more crit. The torches has 1 more attack, but is less crit, and it's also that less range. So in these cases, it depends what you want to do, right? Do you want to keep that gap for that 2-inch range and start smacking people from a distance, or do I want to get engaged and maybe try to hunt chaff, so to speak, with the Balefire torches? But
the hardest part of this warband, and not only are these profiles really difficult to decide on, but they all look so cool. The weapons all look so cool, and you have to choose which one you want. Just pick, if you want to keep the same theme throughout, just pick the one you like the most and build all that. Otherwise, just build one of each. That's kind of what I did with mine because they're cool. They look good. Build them.
I just bought 2 boxes because I'm a degenerate.
Buy 7.
Buy
works. 7 boxes of this, just to be sure you don't miss a combination.
But listen, really, you're supporting Warcry here, so make it an even 10.
Hey, feed the machine, right?
That's it. You feed the machine.
Supporting Warcry. How do these guys support us on a mission? So, what's the general strategy, Mike? What do you bring to the table?
Yeah, so kind of that range that we talked about, what they want to be doing is trying to kind of just keep peppering with damage and stuff like that. The range guys are tossing stuff in there. You're hitting with your 2-inch range guys to not be engaged and not take those clapbacks. Using that double for Fan the Flames to really start cranking out a lot more damage than your opponent's kind of expecting. We can get some like 3-5 damage profiles out of these guys, which you're not ready for. You're like, 2-4. It's amazing how +1 to both of those feels so much more terrifying. You're like 2-4, that guy's a pansy, and all of a sudden 3-5, you're like, run for your life. He's gonna set me on fire. But using the torch race to really, like I said, pepper him, just shooting those 8 inches. No reason to start with those most of the time. You want to be activating those guys first. Shoot, get them where they need to go. So that when your balefire guys and your flame race get there, or your tong daddies, so that they can just smash and you can get that kill to fire off on your Soulblaze, and then you're ready to once this machine gets going. It's delicate, but it can be very, very powerful if everybody's operating on a very similar space.
Very tempo feel to the team.
Yeah, for sure. Really trying to think about your positioning when you're moving the balefire guys around, just because you do have a bubble, right? So just be cognizant that, okay, if I'm moving my first guy in, thinking about how close is the next guy going to want to be to me, so that I can try to pop this bubble if I need it, or make sure I catch him in that bubble. Don't engage if you don't have to. Again, the toughness is nice, but 12 wounds is not, and it's also going to just kind of ruin your internal synergy of that shooting. So you really want to try to, just as far away as possible. You remember the scene from Forgetting Sarah Marshall where he's like you're doing too much, that he doesn't do anything. You got to do more than that. It's somewhere between everything and nothing.
Go back again. Try again. Less than that.
What? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's like you're doing way too much. So do a lot by doing not very much, and being very cognizant of it. And just most of the time you're looking to try to find your juicy Soulblaze target, because getting potentially 2-3 extra actions out of this warband, especially when you're only at 8 models, and you've got some pretty impactful models in here, it can really, really make a difference.
Can I add on real quick to the position and the engagement thing? Playing against Kyle, we were testing just 1 box v 1 box, and learning a little quick tip from both of you guys, actually, from Mike. So when playing against Kyle, using that fly is just so unparalleled against things that can't climb, or you go in the middle of a bridge and they don't have shooting, and all of a sudden you're just like spooky ghost hands shooting fires down at people, and they can't do much against you. They have to climb, they have to run up, they have to.
I had a nightmare like that. Yeah, there was a guy.
just spooky hands in you from the middle of a bridge. Happens to me all the time. It's welcome to New Jersey.
From a meat tree.
That takes us to the next thing, right, Rob? Talk about objective missions. They're weirdly kind of favored in this because of that fly, right?
Right.
They just ignore terrain. You move over terrain.
Absolutely right. Sorry,
gets
Kyle,
to the points easy. Oh no, you're good. Gets to the points easy, right? So you don't care how the board is set up. To your point, you could use that terrain to your advantage. If an objective is sitting near that point, you could stand on top of the terrain, still be in that objective bubble. Those pyre tokens, you could block off someone trying to get to an objective, saying, if you want to be on the objective, you're going to be lit on fire. But you could also use your quad just to kick people off points and say, you don't belong here. Get the heck out of here. I don't want you here.
Get out of here.
This is our bonfire, kid.
But you could also even sorry.
No, I wanted to add from before. Cool thing with the fly, especially in objective missions or anything with like that. if there's a wall set up, you fly to the other side of the wall, so there's no vision, but you could still stay
Hmm.
engaged. So you can attack, but they have to use a disengage to get out of that because
Hmm.
technically you're still engaged within it. You just can't make the attack. Keep yourself alive with clever placement, especially in
Yeah.
objective missions, so you can hang around longer. And then when you need to kind of pop up, get attacks, and then spring that trap, you can absolutely do that.
I love this, the visual of that tech, right? It's such a high level kind of move to try to pin somebody from the other side of terrain where they can't see you, they can't attack you or anything like that. But I love this particularly with this warband because it's just like the reaching out through the wall, just these
Yeah,
ghostly hands holding that. You can't go anywhere yet, pal.
awesome, dude. It's
But
it's such a good tech with flying.
they also have a great way to pivot too because of Soulblaze, right? You just
Yeah,
set your leader to go up last. You get that kill off, and all of a sudden, those 6 move torch rates go like, I'm going to go from this objective, and we're all going to go move to this other objective, and it's
right.
very difficult for your opponent to play around that. But it does also help them in treasure missions. What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, you're at move 6. You're still that's the point at which your valued movement in treasure missions, which is really nice, right? Because you're getting move -2. It's actually -2 for those. There's been some misinformation out there. A
I
lot of
don't know
people
where
bought
you
in on it.
got this misinformation. -4 minimum.
When
I
you
don't know
pick
where
up
you
the
guys are playing.
treasure, the thing that sucks is that you do lose the fly
Yeah,
keyword, which is a
Yeah.
bummer. However, you do still have it's sorry, the math is kind of weird on this, but it means you don't go to the minimum movement that you can have. The 6 point of movement means that picking up treasure, you still are faster than another model essentially carrying treasure around. So using that soul blaze though, when you're that moment we've all had it when you're a ghost and you're carrying treasure and you're like, I can't go too fast anymore. Your buddy just says, hey man, let's get going. I just killed the guy. We gotta leave. That's soul treasure missions with these guys.
any type of like action economy or action cheating is just so huge, and having
Mhm.
access to it just makes it like automatically. Well, it can't be that bad if we have
Mhm.
access to it.
Yeah, for sure.
Well,
You know,
it goes
I
with
mean, it's
agonizing
never
presence,
bad.
right? Because, like I said, movement cheating, right? This is reverse movement cheating. You're making your
Ooh,
opponent move in a bad direction, right?
ooh,
So you're just agonizing presence bounce into a bad way. Suddenly their treasure is engaged, maybe, or suddenly their treasure
Mhm.
carrier is just not where they want it to be.
Mhm.
Um, maybe they move
Absolutely.
into your T6 treasure carrier, which good luck trying to get through T6, right?
Mhm.
But
Ooh.
overall, like that mixed with the fact that they have so much range lets them also chase treasure pretty well because they can fly, go over a terrain, they don't care. They could shoot. So you can fly, shoot. When your opponent is most likely moving maybe 6, if you have movement 3, movement 4, 5, gets knocked down the 3 anyway. You move 6, well, cool. I move 4. I'm going to shoot you and stay in range for a huge amount of time and hopefully kill you so you drop that treasure, which is pretty
It's
sick. But
it's not
for sure.
something you want to do a lot, but if someone's really far away and maybe you got a soul blaze ready to go or something like that, double moving the ghost, right? The 6-inch mover, the torch wraith, tying them up. They can't disengage anymore, so they're stuck there with you if they've already acted or something like that. You got time. The boys are coming here. They coming. They got their hoods on and they're coming to get you.
Yeah, their damage isn't to write home about. So kill missions, they're probably disadvantaged.
Mm-hmm.
It could be neutral, but we said disadvantage because really their damage profiles aren't amazing. They do have a lot of poke. You're kind of hoping and fishing for crits when you're doing a 1/3 damage profile,
Mm-hmm.
making you want to use fan the flames to kind of trade up in damage to make it a little bit better. But if you're going against like an ogre team, unless you're sniping out those little goblins, those ogres are they're gonna have a field day with you. There's not much you can do about it, right?
If you a
Um,
lifetime Warcry achievement is turning like a tyrant into a pyre. If you pyre a tyrant, oh man,
Ooh,
42 wounds, you mowed through it and turned him into a blazing glory on the battlefield. Legend, let us know.
and it's
right.
hard to tank, right? When you have such a high strength coming at you anyway. That T5, T6, they're hitting on 4s, maybe 3s if they can get it up high enough. With only 12 wounds, you're just going to melt. That being said, though, like they do a Soul Blaze, which lets you tempo where you kill something and you get to kill more, essentially. So if you've
Mhm.
got that early kill and you can build that early tempo, you're going to have a good time. You could still utilize Unblinking Guardian to make their rolls worse, and of course, just the agonizing presence to get you out of a bad spot, or to stack some damage on the enemy team that goes through armor is never a bad choice. But overall, you're going to be fighting uphill in most probably kill missions.
Mhm.
Uh, but that's where deployments really, really do matter with this team. Uh, So in general, be safe with them. You do fly, so you don't have to worry about going around things as much as other teams do. So utilize that to your advantage. Rob had a great point earlier about engaging through the walls. Same thing, going up against a range team, hide behind walls and just fly over them. Who cares, right? Like, or go up to a wall and shoot over a wall because if the terrain's close enough to you, won't count as cover for your opponent.
Mhm.
Um,
For sure.
we talked about the balefire guard. I'm sorry, that's actually supposed to be 3 inches, not 6 inches. That's a mistake on my part. But trying to utilize that bubble, uh,
It's
trying
a
not to be
6-inch
engaged here.
diameter. It's a
It
diameter.
is.
Just
It
Within
add
is.
6 inches or
add
3 inches opposite the side of the balefire guard.
the
Like saving
treasurer in
mirror.
there, and you got the right
Look,
version.
it's not a presentation unless I made at least one mistake. Okay,
Well, hey, cross it off the list. We got it done, boys.
we're
Well
done.
done.
It's
We
done.
did it.
You want to utilize 2 inch range and you can because you do have a lot of range
Mhm.
profiles on this team. So don't get in there. The model rolls do matter. Your Torch Wraith is not going to brawl at all. It's just not meant to do that. But your Balefire Guard could, right? So focus fire, use those pokins, poke your enemies,
Ooh,
just get
use
those
those
No, I like
tokens,
it.
tokens.
get
Good
those
old
tokens. We
Pokins.
got them. Um, don't overvalue the pyre tokens as
Yeah.
like the best way to describe it. Your board is what 22 inches by 32 inches, which is like 500 or something square inches, and one pyre token covers 1 square inch.
It's
That's
like
it.
that's 1,000 half square inches. That's just math. Cut
So
them in half.
it
You
just
twice as many.
like while you could put it at choke points, it's very unlikely your opponent won't be able to play around it. So don't focus on them too much. Cool when it happens, but don't
Mhm.
rely on them.
And that just
But
that
yeah,
one, yeah. I don't know if we really dug into it, but like a 1 inch like radius for that damage really is just tiny. And then like if you
very
when you play
tiny.
with them and the first time you put one down and your opponent skips right past it, you go, okay, I see what they were talking about. It's
For
just so easy to avoid.
my non-math fluent friends, such as myself, I'm gonna translate this for you. It's not a good size. Don't worry about it.
That's
It's
Not
not a
use
good
that a
size.
lot, unfortunately.
Yeah, not a good size. Not great.
we're we're just
Kind of
self-burning
stinks.
today, which fits the
Yeah.
theme of this team.
Hey,
So
we're
it's
on
good.
brand,
It's
boys.
good. We're on brand
Go
right now.
for it.
Absolutely amazing. But let's go through some of the examples here because there are some cool stuff. So we called this one Timewalk. So I made this as obtuse as possible just so you can see what we're trying to talk
The
about.
terrain is sick in here.
Well, yeah,
No,
terrain's
that's
sick.
croak.
Yeah, you climb up Croak, you backflip off his back. He looks super cool.
But that giant slan on a chair, basically, if your opponent say moved up and tried to shoot, right, and has this big base, and you have a quad handy, say you got a quad four, right, as you got in that 6 inch bubble, you say, man, I don't like you over here. Go back to the corner you deployed in, shoots him back 4 inches into that corner, burns him. Burns the guys around him.
Mhm.
And remember, unless you have fly, you can't move through your allied models, meaning those two other people are completely stuck in that corner and can't go anywhere anymore. And so, like, this is an extreme example. We're literally pinning them in the corner. But
Mhm.
even if you have any sort of like horse who has like kind of like the oblong bases usually, or even just like a big base in general, pushing them back into their team that they deployed from means they still have to go around them, which could severely cut them off, right?
Mhm.
The change here, for example, if they had to go around, could be the difference of getting to that second objective or not. That can completely change a turn, completely change a game. So pretty crazy stuff what you can do with just agonizing presence in terms of just move blocking their own team. Never mind the free damage you get out of it. It's great.
Right. Kyle, just to take it to the next level of how perfect this example is with those river blades. If they pop river blades, they can't move once that slan's there, so they can't get those bonus. They can't do the weight action to get that free damage or anything like that. So you've completely hamstrung them, which is good because they needed walking back down for how powerful they were,
Yeah, they were kind of breaking the meters here. I'm glad
bro.
that we
Which
found
I
ways
mean,
to
it
jam
is.
them.
They're scary versus Pyregheists just because that auto damage when you've only got 12 wounds does a little scary.
Yeah, it's really
But
scary until they roll like 2 hits and your 8 health goes.
I mean, speaking of those auto wounds, right? Like another cool thing you do with this team, we talk about this a lot, utilizing that weight action. If you got two doubles, all you got to do is go, all right, I'm Balefire Guard, I'm Blinking Guardian. we're gonna wait. Unblinking Guardian again. You go from 5 to 6 to 7 because it stacks. It's great. We see this a lot with a lot of abilities, being able to kind of stack them on top of themselves to make them pretty crazy. Uh, Considering besides like one model in the game, I know it's S10. I don't think there's any S7 really models in the game
They
that
made an
are
S10
made a
model.
lot.
Yeah, there's
Uh,
no strength 10 you're talking about. Yeah,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
it's
yeah.
it's
I don't.
Wexmore,
I think
Yeah,
he's
Lexmore.
we're not going to talk about that. We're here to talk about ghosts. But the point is, getting up to that point means that every one of your enemies is rolling on a 5 up, which is pretty awesome. But we're not going to spend too much time on that. Probably not going to use it too
This
often, but
is
cool to
It's
know
a
that
good
you
one.
have. You know,
It's a
the one
cute
that
trick to have in your back pocket, though. Keep that in
it's the
mind.
one that turns you into an annihilator pyre. Sorry, I forced that one in.
so Mike, do you want
Annihilator
to talk about?
Prime.
Do you want to talk about setting up Soulblaze? Like this really isn't a trick here, but we want to talk about like essentially how to set it up and like why you want to plan your turn kind of like 3 turns ahead, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, actually, Kyle, I'll let you rock this one. I can give a kind of a
Okay.
general one, but I know you got a pretty specific one here.
So really, Soulblaze, remember, triggers on your leader's kill. And I also want to reiterate in this picture of your model not being in engagement range. So on the left there, we got the twin blade. Above it, we got a Balefire Guard. Both have a 2-inch range. So they probably weren't going to engage each other anyway. So what you could do in this case is you have a Torch Wraith, which is in range. You have your leader in range of Balefire. You're going to say, all right, maybe this Trailblaze, the enemy is gone already. You're not worried about him running away. But I want to set up, say, I have a 666 to make and maximize my Soul Blaze. So you're going to say, how can I get as close to killing this twin, this Crestblade, without killing him so the leader can kill him? So in this case, you could say, all right, my Torch Wraith is probably going to be hitting in 5 ups, attack twice, on average, that's 6 shots. Hitting 5 ups, you do 4 damage. It gets it down to 6. Deking then can go shoot, deal 6 damage. Bam! I could trigger my Soul Blaze.
Well, actually,
Um,
this Kyle, though, the leader doesn't have to get the kill. Anything that has the kill in the warband pops that soul blaze, and the leader's the only one that can use the ability, but anybody can get that kill. It's cooler if you combo it off with the leader. But yeah, if you can kind of set
right.
it up so that he does get the kill, it can work really well too. Just because, hey, guess what? You didn't know that I was about to trigger this, so I can really overload you with these activations and stuff, or these actions, so that you're like, I thought you were only going to do 2 things, and now I got 5 things coming at me. Gets real
Uh,
nasty.
the reason I worded it like that because it's like Balefire Guard could attack, get him down low, fly, and then you can shoot the Deacon if you want the Deacon to stay on that objective. It lets you
For
just
sure.
it shows you how flexible this ability really can be. But I mean, let's take it to the next level, right? What if we expand upon this? We start adding a lot more bodies to the board here, right? Your opponent controls the left 2 objectives. You control the right 2. There's one on the bottom right. It's very hard to see. I know it's red on kind of orange there, or I'm just colorblind, so that doesn't help me at all.
Oh, those are
But like,
purple. What are you?
I
I
think
see
they could be
khaki.
purple. I don't know. But the point
Beige.
is, there's so many options to do here, right? If you have a triple, a doubles, 2 wild dice, you can make 2 triples and Soul Blaze twice, right? You can go Soul Blaze, wait, Soul Blaze, and if you had triple fives, triple sixes, that's a free 6 actions on the team. I could literally fly to their objective with my entire team because 6 of my guys are going to get free moves. That's utterly insane if you get the kill in the right stance, right? Or maybe you want to spam those doubles, right? Try to upgrade your damage from the 2-4 to the 3-5 to even trigger Soul Blaze in the first place. Or you want to be spicy, make that quad and say, hey, your turn's done. You're on my objective. Guess what? Quad, not anymore. Get off my objective. And oh, by the way, go burn yourself while you do so. So a lot of options here. Leaders can shoot. There's not a lot of engagement in this case. The sheer fact is, between your leader and the 3 torch rates, half your team gets to shoot. That's a lot of models to shoot in any warband. So make sure to utilize that. Make sure to utilize the fact if you're engagement or not. And if you are engaged, remember you could shoot and do engagement if you're within 3 inches and no minimum. So a lot of options here. But I think we're at our last thoughts here, where the Jade Obelisk
This
box
is
contains
one of
Pyregheists.
those
Apparently,
one of those classic tricks GW pulls on us. Hey, you buy 1 box of Jade Obelisk, and they surprise you with all these go.
I love when I open my Jade Obelisk box and I get Pyregheists. It's my favorite.
Whoa, what's in
So there's
here?
the second mistake. There's two now. So there you
You
go.
know what? Maybe there's more. Tell us
Get
if
two
you
more.
found.
It's not over yet.
There's a secret
Uh,
third mistake that we won't mention, but you have to find.
But box contains 8 models. You get the deacon, get the tong or the
Mhm.
staff. I think everyone here, like, we don't usually throw a ton of recommendations out. This warband, I will, in the sense of the 2-inch range really does matter for this team. But that being said, rule of cool, those flails look super cool. Like, I like just the fire coming out of them. They're whipping around the bodies. It's utterly crazy
The
looking.
double torch guys too that look like they're just ray
Yeah.
the whole time.
Yeah, they're super cool. So I mean, if 99% of your games between buddies anyway, play them to whatever profile you'll want, make them look like the way you want. They're really cool models. But you get 2 Balefire Guard, 2 Flame Wraiths, 3 Torch Wraiths, which is kind of that ranged, fast moving profile.
They look so good too. Those torch rays, they're just like we're on fire, just launching their
They're
rocks all over the place.
really sick. In terms of allies for this team, it's actually very difficult to bring in allies. They're very points hungry, this team, like the cheapest model being, I think, at 100 points. So, I'm sorry, torch rates are 115. So trying to bring anything in means that you can't really bring in anything expensive unless you bring something in that's really cheap with them.
Yeah.
So, for example, Sons of Velmorn could be brought in, or their leader's 160, and their calf is under 100 points at like that 70 mark range, letting you keep yourself at the 8. Ironically, they just nerf that faction, so they're all elites. So that way, like, the resurrection changes, which is ironic because that means the Balefire Guard actually increases their toughness.
They got
So
the
hands down, Sons of
they
Elmorn
got the call
actually
an
got
ambulance, but not for
a,
me.
suit, a pseudo buff here if you want to bring them with the Pyregheists. But really, anyone you want to bring in that can bring in cheap models to try to increase your unit count. Exile Dead's good for it. Headman's Curse is good for it. If you want to bring the Resurrection into the team, which is fine. But pretty much any Bladeborn that could bring in a lot of cheap stuff. But
And not even just if you want to kind of still live in that mid range too, Kyle. I think you originally came up with this list idea, and then I kind of tweaked it a bit. But I've been playing him with the Crimson Court because the Crimson Court have that incredible that double. They just so basically what the double is if anything has damage on it, guess what? You just pump up your attacks. You start absolutely mowing, and so you just fire off a couple of little torch wraiths shots, and then all of a sudden you've got these big nasty hunters that are just going ballistic on doubles. I found using a direwolf with these guys is kind of helpful too. It's more movement. It's just a little different thing. It can carry treasure for you. It's just slightly cheaper, and it can make the points work sometimes too. So it's worth taking a look at those thralls for these guys as well. But yeah, had a lot of fun with the Crimson Court.
Yeah, the double for those listening. It's a double that increases your attack and strength by 2 if the target is damaged. So those range profiles let you damage. But you bring a good point up with the wolf because even if you just brought a single wolf or two to give like the guard or the deacon blessings, that's another like cool option with this team. Add something that's really fast, can still pick up treasure, and yeah, you could add some blessings to the team and try to make them maybe a little more deadly in a certain way.
For sure.
But overall, this it's a high skill cap team. Like they can't really brawl. They don't have a ton of damage, but they have great tools for positioning, great tools in their arsenal for moving more on kills or just moving your opponents around the board. I would honestly consider that quad one of the hardest to use in the game effectively. More than just pushing people off points. Like, it could be game breaking if used correctly, but at the same time, it could feel like it does not a ton if it's not used to its full extent. The models are awesome, really good for dry brushing, really good for blending. I know for
contrast really well.
Contrast really well, which does both of those things very well.
Yeah.
My only wish list for this team is, man, fix the pyres, please.
Fire them up. Come on, make them hotter.
They need to be a bigger area of damage. Like, I know I theorize like have it like be a scaling, so at like 1 inch it's 3 damage, but then at 3 inches it's 1 damage, so it doesn't feel as oppressive. I would also argue have the damage happen before objectives are determined, just because the team doesn't have that much going for them in terms of damage otherwise. But if you want to try some serious spice,
some crutches while they're hobbling along. Let's help them out at least a little bit.
But some serious spice, run 2 deacons, because the deacons are incredible profile for under 90. That way you could also pop that triple whenever you want, rather than having to wait until someone kills something. So, a
Or
lot of cool
if you're
stuff with
crazy
this.
like me and you own 3 of them, run 3 Deacon. Get wild. Guess what? Soulblaze is going wild.
It's only 570 points for 3 models. I mean, what
Hey,
can go
guess
wrong
what?
when your chat's
I
100
don't
points
need that
deep?
many
Real
more.
estate.
It's
That being said, I did brew a list that was like 1 Deacon and just like all torch wraiths, like, and just run around the map, just shooting
no.
fire at people,
Come get
flying
me.
at 6 inches.
It's what's Jet's version of KO look like? Oh, it's bad. It's really bad.
Well, that's fight for pyres. I don't know.
but
what
but
this
it's like
is.
pseudo Calthea, pseudo KO all in the
Yeah.
one team with fly. It's
sure.
not good, but it's fun. It's sure fun.
I'm excited to see if and when they get kind of tweaks, because this warband has like so much potential too, that like if they get tiny little buffs here and there, they can really, and that's why I think a lot of their pieces, it feels like they're very conservative with it, because 2 of these things get dialed up and all of a sudden the combos can go crazy, and then you're like, I burned my whole opponent's warband to the ground. So yeah, it's a very delicate space, but yeah, buy them. And I mean, but if you're into Warcry stonks and you're just waiting for the future, hey, these guys got a great chance to get a little stronger next edition.
One last thing I got to note here, by the way, their narrative rules are super sweet because their rule is essentially like if you burn and cremate an opponent, you get to steal that model and add it to your roster
just for the next game, but it's
for the
still
next game.
super cool.
So like, all right, I burned my opponent's like, I don't know, Myrmidon to the ground. Guess what I got next game, guys? A Myrmidon.
Yeah, it's so awesome.
Super
Such
cool.
a great idea. Yeah.
Yeah,
One of the
just awesome
coolest
design
narrative
space.
rules they've made up ever.
But Rob, you've been quiet. Any last thoughts here?
No, man. You guys hit it all in there. Just kind of taking it in. I haven't played it as much or like looked at them or built them or anything. I'm a big fan of the Bellfire Guard. I'm a big fan of Deacon. I think Deacon has ally potential too, because it could be a beater on the double. It can move and still reach out to go. Was it 3-5 and then go 4-5 or something like that? I believe, which is pretty sick. You're not bringing in right.
Yeah.
It'd just be brought in as a beater, and I'm a big sucker for really good quads. And the quad potential on this of just being able, 1, to do AoE damage, 2, to position either like pulling the treasure to you or pushing something away, I think is just awesome. It's good fun. It's good play. I think if anybody's looking for a box, I think this is the better half of the box, in my opinion. And I just, overall, it's got spooky ghost
Trick your
vibes.
friends. Hey, let's split this box. You can have the cool elves. There's more of them.
Look how fast they are. Yeah. You could dance.
Stronger than you. Gotcha.
They got cool abilities too, but
no, they have cool abilities too. But I think the quad here, the coordinated strike, the fly, like there's a lot of unique stuff you can do. But I think that's about it, though.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that ends it for us here, right? So if you're watching, just a reminder once again to like, subscribe, right? Tell us what you want to see next in terms of videos. It does affect our choices here. So yeah. With that, anything else, team?
I
think what's next? What's our next? We just did.
I don't think we haven't picked one yet. So come in.
What's the next GA? What was the one we did before this?
Order.
So Order, Death. We have.
Gorgers is the only destruction left.
Destruction is Gorgers, and then we have which somebody did request.
Chaos.
We did
have. We might be doing Gorgers next, apparently.
We did. Yeah. Shout out in our last video. I think Chris Hyde threw it in there. Said, "I want some gorging, baby." So we'll. Or it might not be that. It might be something completely different. So.
We also can do, like, since we're doing 1 boxes and stuff, and I think a cool idea somebody else requested too. If you guys agree with it, please put in the comments. 1 boxes like Black Talons. That'll be like a 5-minute short clip. You can find that on Never. And then you could also do like Order of Vizier and Saviors of Cinderfall. I think is a really great idea to do like a 1 box mix and match, 2 box technically.
And hopefully these guys soon. These guys
that might be a long
up.
video.
Ooh. Hopefully we're gonna get Brand's oath takers. I can't remember.
I thought they're called outfitters, like Urban Outfitters, but Brands Outfitters. And it's just
that's it.
Really,
that's the one.
Really just want to get
what their abilities are themed around, is being stylish.
All right, that's it.
Hopefully we'll have them soon.
Subscribe, hit the bell, like, share it, show your grandma, tell your friend about it, tell your ex about it, have them watch, tell them to learn, be better.
Play with some ghosts. Tell them
Play
how cool the ghosts
some
are.
spooky ghosts. You can make little grills as your tokens. Come on.
Let's do
All
it
right.
up.
Later, guys.
Bye.
Later. Have a good one.